Homage to the Triple Gem. So we've come down here to the beautiful Situl Pawa, which is an ancient forest monastery. And in the first few hundred years after Buddhism came to Sri Lanka, there were many arahants on this island. And actually it was second in the number of arahants only to India. So I've been hoping to come here for a long time, and it's a rare opportunity to be here. And came with two other monks, and we were, at least a couple of us were remarking to each other that these places where people have practiced before can have a certain air to them, can have a certain quietness to them, have a certain vibe to them. And that air helps to make the mind feel calm. So there is a kind of sense that one can get from going to places where one is living in a place of quiet, one is living in a place of solitude, and the environment actually pushes the mind inwards. And as a result of living in places like that, one actually is kind of going with the flow. Like one jumps into a river and and one paddles with the flow of it. One doesn't have to go against the grain of the river trying to go upstream, one goes downstream in the river. And in the same way, when one can come to a place where there's been many people who've practiced in the past, where there's quiet, where there's solitude, then that's an ideal location. It can be a very ideal location to come and stay. The thing about this is that coming to these locations, it's not just a matter of going there, there's a duty to coming to these locations as well. So actually in the Buddha's teachings, he doesn't just teach knowledge, he teaches a skill. So the Four Noble Truths don't just have like a kind of intellectual teaching to them. They also have duties that go along with them. The first noble truth is to be understood. The second noble truth is to be abandoned. The third noble truth is to be realized. And the fourth noble truth, the path to the ending of suffering, is to be developed. So at a place like this, there's many chaityas, there's many ponds, there's many statues, there's many things that one can see. But the most important thing to do at a place that's conducive, a place that's quiet, a place that's ancient, is actually to practice meditation. So it's not just a matter of going to a place and associating with the place, it's a matter of what we do there. So remember years ago, I was staying at a monastery, and I was really impressed with one of the senior monks there, very inspired by him. And I decided that, I'd recently read a sutta about how important it was to associate with good friends. So I decided I wanted to kind of try to associate with him and see if some of his good qualities could rub off on me, I guess. But what I did was I went to associate with him, but instead I just kept talking and hanging out and, not really, just kind of associating. I didn't really follow his example. So the senior monk noticed this, the most senior monk at the monastery, and he gave a talk. He said, when we associate with people, the purpose of it is to follow their example, to become like them. So it's not just a matter of going and hanging around. So when we associate with a person, we associate with a place, we ask, what is it that made that place special? And then how can we imitate that? So when we look into the canon, we see what the lives of the monks were like at the time of the Buddha. It's a lifestyle that the Buddha recommends, where monks are spending most of their day meditating, spending 4 hours a night sleeping and then getting up, doing walking and sitting, and spending most of the day actually not speaking. So when we go to a place with a lot of chaityas, we go to a place with a lot of statues, if we go there and we talk, we speak, and we don't meditate, even if we pay respects to the chaitya, there's definitely merit there, but that's still behaving a little bit like I did when I was impressed by senior monk and just went there and talked to him and didn't imitate his way of life. So one of the best things we can do when we go to ancient places, places where there's rumors to have been many arahants, is to ask, how did those arahants live at that time? What was the way that they practiced? What kind of lifestyle did they have? And how can we emulate that? So the three of us monks have come here. We kind of decided that we would try to split up and each one of us go our separate way and spend about 4 hours or try to get some time in here, just in solitude, just to practice in a place like this. And that can be one of the best ways to associate. One of the best ways to take advantage of an opportunity where there's a quiet place, where there's a historical place, where there's a place that may have the energy of ancient practitioners there that can help carry one downstream, that can push one forward so long as one goes with the flow. The tricky thing is that this is not always so easy to do. The mind can throw up a lot of different excuses and kind of go to a nice quiet place and read a book. Go to a nice quiet place and watch a movie. But going to a nice quiet place to meditate, suddenly there's all these things that can pop up that can get in the way. So the ancient arahants of the past, from the time of the Buddha onwards, whoever is truly practicing, they always have to resist the pull of sensual desires. They always have to resist the pull of laziness. And they have to go to direct their minds in the correct way, direct their minds towards wholesome qualities, direct their minds towards staying in the present moment, because this is what places of quiet are actually very, very conducive for, is to bringing the mind to the present and not having it wander off to the past and the future. It's not that the present moment is some place that just everything is wonderful in, but it's the place where a person can do the most important work in their life, which is the work of training their mind. If a person is off in the past, if they've been engaging in a lot of talking, been engaging in a lot of association, their mind's off in the future, if their mind's off on ice cream or food or or whatever else it might be, it's not on the mind, it's not seeing what the mind's doing to cause itself to suffer, to cause itself to be happy. So all those ancient arahants of the past, when they trained their minds, what they were looking at is what it was that they were doing to cause themselves to suffer and how to put a stop to it. When we come to an ancient place where there's not much going on, where there's inspiring views all around, where there's quiet, where there's nature, then there's not much to distract us. So we can see the movements of the mind. It's easier to see the movements of the mind and how it causes itself to be happy, how it causes itself to suffer. So in watching the movements of these mind, we want to direct it properly. We want to direct it towards things that cause our defilements to reduce, that cause our good qualities to increase. And in this way, we'll be associating with the place. In this way, we'll be associating with the memory of those arahants who were there in the past. And in this way, we'll be following in the footsteps of the Sangha, following in the footsteps of those ancient monks who truly practice the way. So the Buddha said that his message is akaliko, it's timeless. It's something that is not limited to a particular era. Actually, they told us the history of this place, Situl Pawa, and there was a time when there was this war in Anuradhapura, and all the monks from Anuradhapura came here because they thought there was food. There was this famine that happened, and then all the arahants in this place apparently died. So they say 1,000 arahants were here, they all died. And then eventually this place just became jungle, it became overgrown. But regardless of whether these arahants passed away, I mean, it's a terrible tragedy. It's not that the Dharma passed away with them. It's not that the path passed away with them. The path is always available. It's something that's always open, which is why it's always akaliko. And one of the most important things that they've done, these arahants of the past, besides free themselves from suffering, is to show future generations the way. Show them the way through their example. Show them the way through their lifestyle. So that if future generations want to associate with them in the right way, they can. So it's an inspiration to come to places like this. It's an inspiration to be in a country where there were many arahants, to practice in places where they were. But the best thing is to use these opportunities well, to use them wisely, and not just eat the inspiration, but to try to follow in the footsteps of those who have come before, so that we can practice the way that they practiced, so that we can gain the insights that they gained, and so that in the end we can realize what they realized. Okay, so